filled with foreboding. J 50. 2. Sebel. Gods and goddesses of Babylonian deities. Marduk Baladan Meromidal.dak Baladan from Babylonian, meaning Marduk has given a son. The son of Baladan and king of Babylon, who sent letters and a gift to King Hezekiah of Judah following that king's recovery from illness. Issa 39. 1. He is called Baradak Baladan 2 Kings 20. 12, but this difference is generally considered to be the result of a scribal error, or else to represent an attempt at transliterating an Akkadian consonant with a sound somewhere between that of M and B. The name of Marduk Baladan occurs in Assyrian and Babylonian cuneiform inscriptions as Marduk Apla Idina. He there appears as the ruler of a Chaldean district known as Bityakan, situated in the marshlands above the head of the Persian Gulf and of Babylon. He claims royal descent, giving the name of King Ariba Marduk of Babylon, considered as of the early part of the 8th century BCE as his forefather. Iraq, London, 1953, Volume 15, p. 124. Tiglath-Pileser III, whose rule extended into the reign of King Ahaz of Judah 761-746 BCE, refers to Marduk Baladan as ruler of a Chaldean tribe, rendering homage to him when the Assyrians made a campaign into Babylonia. Sends delegation to Hezekiah. Marduk Baladan is stated to have entered Babylon and proclaimed himself king at the time of the accession of Sargon II to the Assyrian throne. Marduk Baladan had the support of the Elamites in this action, and although Sargon soon endeavored to dislodge him from Babylon, the Chaldean was able to maintain his position there for a period of about 12 years, according to the Babylonian king list. It may have been during this time that he sent his embassy to King Hezekiah, either in the 14th year of the Judean king 732 BCE, or Marduk Baladan making a grant of land to an official. King Hezekiah was overly cordial to messengers from Marduk Baladan, Mesha 381 shortly thereafter. It is suggested by some, including Jewish historian Josephus, that Marduk Baladan's expressions of interest in Hezekiah's health involved more than a formality, and that his ulterior motive was to attempt to gain the support of the kingdom of Judah, along with that of Elam, in a coalition against Assyria. At any rate, Hezekiah's action in showing the royal treasure house and his armory to Kai 20. 13 to the Chaldeans' messengers was roundly condemned by the prophet Isaiah as presaging eventual conquest of Judah by Babylon. Issa 39. 2-7. Defeated by Assyria. Toward the close of his rule of approximately 12 years over Babylon, Marduk Baladan saw his main support from Elam cut off by an Assyrian victory over that kingdom, and thereafter he was attacked and forced to flee from Babylon. Despite losing Babylon to the Assyrians, Marduk Baladan appears to have been able to retain his position as ruler over Bityakan. The Babylonian king list shows a second reign of 9 months. Polyhistor says 6 months by Marduk Baladan as king of Babylon during the second year after Sargon's death. This is generally accepted as referring to the same king making a second effort to establish himself on the throne of Babylon. It is to be noted, however, that the Babylonian inscriptions in this case refer to him as Marduk Baladan, a native of Habi, in contrast with Marduk Baladan, of the dynasty of the Sea Country, in the case of the earlier reign. Ancient Near Eastern Texts, edited by J. Pritchard, 1974, p. 272. This second reign was very short, as Assyrian king Sennacherib quickly occupied Babylon, and Marduk Baladan had to seek refuge in Elam, where he seems to have ended his ambitious career. Despite Marduk Baladan's failures, in later times the Chaldeans did become the dominant ethnic group in the Babylonian Empire. Merom, Waters of Merom, high exalted place. It was here that the Confederate Canaanite forces under Jabin the king of Hazor encamped before being defeated by Joshua. Probably for the first time the Israelites faced Canaanites equipped with horses and chariots, as may be inferred from Joshua's receiving divine instructions then about burning the chariots and hamstringing the horses. Jos 11. 1-9. As explained by Wahironi, the waters of Merom must be the water source of the city Merom beside which the Canaanite forces assembled. Merom is known both from 2nd millennium Egyptian sources and from Tiglath-Pileser III's account of his expedition to Galilee. It is generally accepted to identify Merom with Meron at the foot of Jebel Jarmak, but in the absence of a suitable tell at this site, an identification a bit farther north is preferable. Its name is possibly preserved in Jebel Meron and Meron As, and we may consider its identification with Tel el-Gurba, one of the large Canaanite tells in the southern part of Canaanite Upper Galilee. From Hazor both of the suggested identifications are about 7 to 8 miles as the crow flies. The Land of the Bible, translated and edited by A. Rainey, 1979, pages 225, 226. Moronotite me middle dot rono middle dot ite. A designation applied to Judea and Jadon, apparently identifying them as inhabitants of Meronoth. 1 ch 27. 30. Ne 3. 7. Some scholars believe that Meronoth was located near Gibeah, but its exact location is otherwise unknown. Others tentatively identify it with being Chiniya, less than 5 kilometers 3 mi NW of Gibeon. Meroz. A place cursed by an angel for not coming to the assistance of Jehovah. JG 5. 23. It may be that the inhabitants of Meroz did not aid Jehovah's designated commander Barak in the actual fight against the Canaanites under Sisera. JG 5. 5-16. Or, if Meroz lay on defeated Sisera's escape route, perhaps its inhabitants failed to detain him. JG 4. 17. The fact that the Bible account next relates Yael's courageous act in killing Sisera lends some support o text to acute miritra longo. Meshach 382. Prophet gave assurance that if ditches were dug in the dried up torrent valley, Jehovah would fill them with water. 2 Chi 1. 1. 3. 4-19. This occurred, and the reflection of the early morning sun upon the water made it look like blood to the Moabites, possibly because of red clay in the freshly cut ditches. The illusion deceived them into thinking the allied armies of Israel, Judah, and Edom had turned on one another. It was not unreasonable for them to think this, in view of the fact that they knew of the jealousy between Israel and Judah. Also, the Edomites were no lovers of the men of Judah, who were allied with Israel on this occasion. 2 Chi 3. 20-23. Compare 2 ch 20. 10, 11, 24, 25. Thinking their enemies had slaughtered one another, the Moabites shouted, "So now, to the spoil, O Moab!" and entered the camp of Israel, only to be put to flight. Israel followed up by destroying the Moabite cities, stopping up their springs, and filling their tracts of land with stones, until they got to the city of Kir-Haresoth Kir of Moab. 2 Chi 3. 23-25. When King Mesha found himself trapped, he took 700 swordsmen and tried in a counterattack to break through to the king of Edom, perhaps because he thought that there he would meet with the weakest resistance, but he was unable to do so. Finally he took his firstborn son who was going to reign in place of him and offered him up as a burnt sacrifice upon the wall. 2 Chi 3. 26, 27. The majority of commentators agree that Mesha offered up his own son as a sacrifice to his god Chemosh. The few who think otherwise say it was a captured son of the king of Edom that was sacrificed, citing Amos 2. 1 as evidence, where reference is made to Moab burning the bones of the king of Edom for lime. Though grammatically the Hebrew will allow for such an interpretation, this latter suggestion seems contrary to other known facts. For example, it was unheard of for Moabites and Ammonites, Israel's neighbors, to offer up their enemies as sacrifices to their gods, but it was a known practice of their religion to offer their own children as burnt sacrifices to appease the anger of their gods. 12. 30, 31. Mixix. 6, 7. It is therefore understandable why this Chemosh worshipper, Mesha, faced with imminent danger of defeat, would have resorted to such drastic measures. The Moabite Stone. The Moabite stone was discovered at Hibban Dibban in 1868. It is generally accredited to Mesha, and its contents are usually assigned to the period beginning with the events recorded in the 3rd chapter of 2 Kings. In this famous inscription, Mesha commemorates his breaking Israel's domination, which he says lasted 40 years. There are also various comments made therein about the places Mesha captured: Deba, Ataroth, Nebo, Jashaz. In boasting of his being very religious, of building cities and a highway, as well as of a victory that he claims over Israel, Mesha gives all the credit to the god Chemosh. Mesha also knew of Israel's god Jehovah, for in the 18th line of this document the tetragrammaton is found. There Mesha brags, "I took from there the vessels of Yahweh, dragging them before Chemosh." Picture, Volume 1, p. 946. However, his own defeat and the sacrifice of his son are, as one would expect, omitted. Biblical Archaeology Review, May June 1986, p. 57 observes. Monumental inscriptions on freestanding stones or temple walls were produced for propaganda purposes and for the glorification of the national god and the country's ruler. Hence, it is not surprising that Moshe makes no mention of the military campaign of the kings of Israel, Judah and Edom against his country, of which the Bible gives us a detailed account. 3. Heb. Memidal-Shah. The son of Shaharaim by his wife Hodesh. Moshe became a family head in the tribe of Benjamin. 1 Ch 8. 1, 8-10. 4. Heb. Memidal-Shah. One of the limits of the region inhabited by the descendants of Joktan. Ge 10. O textoi acute muritra longo, Mesulmuth 383. But Babylonians ate animals declared unclean by the Mosaic law. 2. They would not be careful to see that the animals were properly bled, some perhaps being strangled. 3. The pagans often first sacrificed the animals to their gods, considering the eating of such meat as a part of worship of these gods. Dar 1. 8. Compare 1 Co 10. 18-20, 28. Later, after Daniel had been advanced to a high governmental position in the court of the king, Nebuchadnezzar, at Daniel's request, appointed Meshach, Shadrach, and Abednego over the administration of the jurisdictional district of Babylon. Dar 2. 48, 49. Refuses to bow to image. Meshach and his 2 companions again came to the king's notice because of refusing, in the sight of all the other government personnel, to bow down before the great image Nebuchadnezzar had made. With full faith in Jehovah, they told Nebuchadnezzar that they would not join in serving the king's gods. Whether their god chose to deliver them from the furnace made no difference. They would nonetheless maintain integrity to him rather than compromise for release. In Heb 11. 34, 35 mention is made of those who stayed the force of fire and who would not accept release by some ransom, in order that they might attain a better resurrection. For their faith Jehovah preserved them by means of his angel. In fact, on their coming out, the smell of fire itself had not come onto them. Nebuchadnezzar, who has been so enraged that he ordered the furnace to be heated 7 times more than customary before throwing the 3 men into it, now acknowledged their God as a deliverer. Furthermore, he commanded that anyone saying anything wrong against Meshach's God should be dismembered in his house made a public privy. Dar 3. 1-30. Meshach. 1. One of the sons born after the flood to Japheth, the son of Noah. Ge 10. 2. 1 Ch 1. 5. The name evidently extended to his descendants and the land of their settlement. The prophet Ezekiel regularly mentions Meshach along with Tubal, indicating that they were located to the end of Palestine. They are described as exporting slaves and copper to Tyre, as being warlike, and as either allies or subjects of Gog of Magog in his prophesied vicious campaign against the mountains of Israel. Es 27. 13. 32. 26. 38. 2, 3. 39. 1, 2. See Gog No. 2. Meshach is mentioned independently of Tubal at Psalm 120. 5. Evidently as representing an aggressive, barbarous people. About 1,000 years after the flood, Assyrian inscriptions begin to mention a people called the Musku occupying an area in Asia Minor to the W of Assyria. Assyrian emperors Tiglath-Pileser I, Tukulti-Ninurta II, Ashurnasirpal II, and Sargon all mention conflicts with them. The fact that the Musku are frequently mentioned along with the Tabali evidently the biblical Tubal gives reason for believing that the name Musku derives from Meshach. Herodotus 3:94 later refers to the Mosi and the Tibareni in the same manner. Many scholars suggest that the Musku are to be related with the Phrygians, who apparently dominated much of Western and Central Asia Minor about the close of the 2nd millennium BCE. King Mitra of Muski, referred to by Assyrian Emperor Sargon, is construed by some scholars as being identical with King Midas of Phrygia, described in Greek tradition as ruling in the same period. 2. Meshach appears in the Masoretic text at 1 Chronicles 1:17 as a descendant of Shem, but the corresponding genealogy at Genesis 10. 23 reads Mash. Meshalima me middle dot shul middle dot a middle dot me Jehovah makes peace compensates. Repays. A Kohathite Levite and ancestral head of a division of Karites. He had sons and brothers, capable men, 18, who were assigned with him as gatekeepers of the sanctuary during King David's reorganization of the priestly and Levitical services. 1 Ch 26. 1-3, 9 He is probably identical with the Shelemiah of 1 Chronicles 26. 14. His son Otextoi acute Miritra Longo, Meshobab 384 The Israelites of King Pekah's day to release the captives they had taken in a successful military campaign against Judah. 2 Ch 28. 6-8, 12-15. 2. A priest who descended from Immer and who was the ancestor of certain priests residing in Jerusalem after the Jews returned from Babylonian exile. Any 11. 10, 13, 14 He is probably identical with the Meshelemeth of 1 Chronicles 9. 12. Meshobab me middle dot Shubab returned brought back. Or, possibly, unfaithful. A chieftain of the tribe of Simeon who had a large household and who participated in the seizure of pastoralids from the Hamites and the Munim Neagdor in the days of King Hezekiah of Judah. 1 Ch 4. 34-42. Meshalem me middle dot shalom from a root meaning make peace. Compensate. Repay. 1. A family head in the tribe of Benjamin who lived in Jerusalem. Son of Elpal. 1 Ch 8. 1, 17, 18, 28. 2. A Gadite resident of Bashan enrolled genealogically as a son of Abiel during the reigns of Jotham and of Jeroboam, apparently two different enrollments, for the reigns of these kings did not overlap. 1 Ch 5. 11, 13, 14, 16, 17. 3. Grandfather or ancestor of King Josiah's secretary Shaphan. 2 Chi 22. 3. 4. Father or ancestor of High Priest Hilkiah of King Josiah's reign. 1 Ch 9. 11. Any 11. 11 Meshullam himself had perhaps acted as high priest. Some of his descendants lived in Jerusalem after the Babylonian exile. He is apparently called Shallum at 1 Chronicles 6. 12, 13 and Ezra 7. 2. See Shallum no. 7. 5. A Kohathite Levite, one of several in charge of repairing the temple under King Josiah. 2 Ch 34. 1, 8, 12. 6. A priest whose descendants at least 3 generations after him lived in Jerusalem after the exile in Babylon. 1 Ch 9. 2, 3, 10, 12. 7. A Benjamite whose son Salu was a family head in Jerusalem after the Babylonian exile. 1 Ch 9. 3, 7, 9 presumably the same as the Meshullam listed in Nehemiah 11. 7. 8. A Benjamite family head who himself lived in Jerusalem after the exile. 1 Ch 9. 3, 7-9. 9. The first listed son of Governor Zerubbabel. Descendant of King David. 1 Ch 3. 1, 19. 10. Head of the priestly paternal house of Ezra in the days of Jeshua's successor Joachim. Ne 12. 12, 13 possibly the same as no. 18 or 19. 11. Head of the paternal house of priests founded by Jonathan. During the officiate of Joachim. Ne 12. 12, 16 possibly the same as no. 18 or 19. 12. A gatekeeper in the days of Joachim, Ezra, and Nehemiah. Ne 12. 25, 26. 13. A head one among the people assembled at the river Ahava for the trip to Jerusalem with Ezra in 468 BCE. Meshullam was one of several whom Ezra assigned to help gather a number of Levites and Nethinim to make the journey also. Ezra 8. 15-20 possibly the same as no. 16, 17, 20, or 21. 14. Elvite, who perhaps opposed the admonition to send away the foreign wives Ezra found among the Israelites on his return to Jerusalem. However, the text may be read to mean that he opposed only the procedure adopted for carrying it out. As 10. 10-15, FTN. 15. One of the sons or descendants of Bani who responded favorably to Ezra's admonition by sending away their foreign wives and sons. As 10. 29, 44. 16. Son of Berechiah who, under direction of Governor Nehemiah, repaired 2 sections of Jerusalem's wall. Ne 3. 4, 30 Meshullam also gave his daughter in marriage to Johanan the son of Tobiah the Ammonite, a marriage union that caused division among the restored Israelites. Ne 6. 17-19. 4. 3. Sino. 13. 17. Co-rebuilder of the gate of the old city in Nehemiah's wall repair project. Son of Bezodiah. Ne 3. 6. Sino. 13. 18. One of those who stood at Ezra's left when he read from the law to the assembled crowd in the 7th month of 455 BCE. Meshullam was probably a priest. Ne 8. 2, 4. See Numbers 10 and 11. 19. A priest or forefather of a priest who subscribed to the covenant of faithfulness proposed by the Levites. Ne 9. 5, 38. 10. 1, 7, O textoi acute miritra longo, Messiah 385 Tigris and Euphrates rivers. It apparently corresponds to the Hebrew designation of related meaning, Aram Naharaim. PS 60. In fact, the translators of the Greek Septuagint usually rendered Aram Naharaim as Mesopotamia. See Aram No. 5. The application of the term Mesopotamia varies both in ancient and modern usage. Basically, in a broad sense, it embraces the entire region that lies between the Tigris and the Euphrates and stretches from the Persian Gulf in the east to the mountains of Turkey and Iran in the end. It would include the alluvial plain of ancient Babylonia extending some 400 kilometers 250 mi to the east of Baghdad. See Babylon No. 2. In a narrower sense, however, Babylonia is excluded, only the region to the being termed Mesopotamia. This northern region consists of a low undulating plateau having numerous enclosed basins. It is also a rocky area. Evidence for the broad usage of the designation in the 1st century CE is found at Acts 7. 2, where Stephen spoke of Abraham as residing in Mesopotamia while yet at Ur, a city of Babylonia. But it is not possible to establish with certainty whether the Hebrew Aram Naharaim likewise included Babylonia. Whenever there is a basis for determining the general geographic location mentioned in the Hebrew scriptures, the northern area around Haran GE 24. 2-4, 10 or the northern Mount Venus region around Pethida 23. 4. Compare New 23. 7 is included under the designation Aram Naharaim Mesopotamia. Although the extent of the area under the control of Mesopotamian King Ras-Hatayim, the oppressor of Israel in the time of Judge Othniel, is uncertain, the seat of his government may also have been in the NJG 3. 8-10. See Ras-Hatayim. It was probably from northern Mesopotamia that Ammonite King Nun hired chariots and horsemen for his fight against King David. 1 Ch 19. 6, 7. Among the Jews and proselytes present at Jerusalem for the festival of Pentecost in 33 CE there were inhabitants of Mesopotamia. Act 2. 1, 2, 9. These could have included residents from the southern part of that land, namely, Babylonia. In this regard it is noteworthy that the historian Josephus reports that a great number of Jews were in Babylonia in the 1st century BCE. Jewish Antiquities, 15, 14-2, 2. Messenger. One bearing a message, either oral or written, or one sent on an errand. GE 32. 3-6. JG 6. 34, 35. 11. 12-27. 2 Sir 5. 11. 1 Chi 19. 2. 2 Chi 19. 8-14. Lu 7. 18-24. 9. 52 at times runners served in this capacity. 2ch 30. 6-10. J 51. 31 for more rapid communication messengers were dispatched on horses. 2 Chi 9. 17-19. As 8. 10-14. See Courier. Messengers of ancient times included heralds who publicly proclaimed royal or state decrees. Da 3. 4-6. 5. 29 messengers might be sent to sue for peace. Issa 33. 7. To request military assistance. to Chi 16. 7. 17. 4. Or to demand tribute or the surrender of a city. 1 Chi 20. 1-9. 2 Chi 18. 17-35. They were accorded freedom of passage to accomplish their mission. A mistreatment of royal messengers sent on a courtesy visit to another nation was serious enough to precipitate war. 2 Sa 10. 1-7. See Ambassador. Both the Hebrew and the Greek words for messenger may refer to spirit messengers, or angels. PS 104. 4. Jo 1. 51 Whether human or angelic messengers are meant can be determined by the context. At Isaiah 63. 9, for example, Jehovah's personal messenger is evidently his angel, for this messenger saved the Israelites. Compare X 14. 19, 20. Besides using angelic messengers to convey information to men and women on earth and to accomplish other tasks, the angel, Jehovah, has repeatedly employed human messengers. His prophets and priests were his messengers to the nation of Israel. 2ch 36. 15, 16. Hag 1. 13. Mao 2. 7 The statements of his prophets were certain of fulfillment, for Jehovah is the one that carries out completely the counsel of his own messengers. O textoi acute miritra longo, Messiah 386 Anointed One. The Greek equivalent is Christos, or Christ. Mount 2. 4, ftn. In the Hebrew scriptures the verbal adjective form ma'amidl.sheikh is applied to many men. David was officially appointed to be king by being anointed with oil, and so is spoken of as Anointed One, or, literally, Messiah. 2 Sa 19. 21. 22. 51. 23. 1. PS 18. 50 other kings, including Saul and Solomon, are termed Anointed One or the Anointed of Jehovah. 1 Sa 2. 10, 35. 12. 3, 5. 24. 6, 10. 2 Sa 1. 14, 16. 2ch 6. 42. Bar 4. 20 The term is also applied to the high priest. The 4. 3, 5, 16. 6. 22 The patriarchs Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob are called Jehovah's Anointed Ones. 1ch 16. 16, 22. Ftn Persian King Cyrus is termed Anointed One, in that he was appointed by God for a certain assignment. Issa 45. 1. See Anointed, anointing. In the Christian Greek scriptures the transliterated form mes occurs in the Greek text at John 1. 41, with the explanation, which means, when translated, Christ. See also Jo 4. 25. Sometimes the word Christos is used alone with reference to the one who is or who claims to be the Messiah, or the Anointed One. Mount 2. 4. 22. 42. Mr. 13. 21 In most of its appearances, though, Christos is accompanied by the personal name Jesus, as in the expressions Jesus Christ or Christ Jesus, to designate him as the Messiah. At times the word is used alone but specifically referring to Jesus with the understanding that Jesus is the Christ, as in the statement, Christ died for us. Row 5. 8. Jo 17. 3. 1 Co 1. 1, 2. 16. 24. See Christ. Messiah in the Hebrew Scriptures. At Daniel 9. 25, 26. The word Mashiach applies exclusively to the coming Messiah. See 70 weeks. However, many other texts of the Hebrew Scriptures also point to this coming one, even if not exclusively so. For instance, Psalm 2. 2 evidently had first application at the time when Philistine kings tried to unseat anointed King David. But a second application, to the foretold Messiah, is established by Acts 4. 25-27, where the text is applied to Jesus Christ. Also, many of the men called anointed in various ways prefigured, or pictured, Jesus Christ and the work he would do. Among these were David, the high priest of Israel, and Moses spoken of as Christ at Heb 11. 23-26. Prophecies not using Messiah. Numerous other Hebrew scripture texts that do not specifically mention Messiah were understood by the Jews as prophecies applying to that one. Alfred Edelsheim located 456 passages to which the ancient synagogue referred as messianic, and there were 558 references in the most ancient rabbinic writings supporting such applications. The Life and Times of Jesus the Messiah, 1906, Volume I, p. 163. Volume 2, pages 710-737. As an example, Genesis 49. 10 prophesied that the ruling scepter would belong to the tribe of Judah and that Shiloh would come through that line. The Targum of Onkelos, the Jerusalem Targums, and the Midrash all recognize the expression Shiloh as applying to the Messiah. The Hebrew scriptures contain many prophecies that provide details about the Messiah's background, time of appearance, activities, treatment by others, and place in God's arrangement. The various indications about the Messiah thus combine to form one grand picture that would help true worshippers to identify him. This would provide a basis for faith in him as the true leader sent by Jehovah. Though the Jews did not recognize ahead of time all the prophecies that related to the Anointed One, the evidence in the Gospels shows that they had sufficient knowledge by which to recognize the Messiah when he did appear. Understanding in the 1st century CE the historical information available reveals a general picture of the extent of understanding about the Messiah prevalent among Jews in the 1st century of the Common Era. Primarily this information is gleaned from the Gospels. King and son of David. It was commonly o textoi acute miritra longo, 387 outstanding prophecies concerning Jesus and their fulfillment. Prophecy event fulfillment G 49. 10 born of the tribe of Judah Mount 1. 2-16. Lu 3. 23-33. Heb 7. 14 PS 132. 11. Issa 9. 7. 11. 1, 10 from the family of David the son of Jesse Mount 1. 1, 6-16. 9. 27. Act 13. 22, 23. Row 1. 3. 15. 8, 12 Mic 5. 2 born in Bethlehem Lu 2. 4-11. Joe 7. 42 Issa 7. 14 born of a virgin Mount 1. 18-23. Lu 1. 30-35 J 31. 15 babes killed after his birth Mount 2. 16-18 Ho 11. 1 called out of Egypt Mount 2. 15 Mal 3. 1. 4. 5. Issa 40. 3 way prepared before Mount 3. 1-3. 11. 10-14. 17. 10-13. Lu 1. 17, 76. 3. 3-6. 7. 27. Joe 1. 20-23. 3. 25-28. Act 13. 24. 19. 4 Issa 61. 1, 2 commissioned Lu 4. 18-21 Issa 9. 1, 2 ministry caused people in Naphtali and Zebulun to see great light Mount 4. 13-16 PS 78. 2 spoke with illustrations Mount 13. 11-13, 31-35 Isla 53. 4 carried out sicknesses Mount 8. 16, 17 PS 69. 9 zealous for Jehovah's House Mount 21. 12, 13. Joe 2. 13-17 Isla 42. 1-4 as Jehovah's servant, would not wrangle in streets Mount 12. 14-21 Isla 53. 1 not believed in Joe 12. 37, 38. Row 10. 11, 16 Zek 9. 9. PS 118. 26 entry into Jerusalem on Kol Teben As. Hailed as King and 1 coming in Jehovah's name Mount 21. 1-9. Mr. 11. 7-11. Lu 19. 28-38. Joe 12. 12-15 Nissa 28. 16. 53. 3. PS 69. 8. 118. 22, 23 rejected but becomes chief cornerstone Mount 21. 42, 45, 46. Act 3. 14. 4. 11. 1 PE 2. 7 is 8. 14, 15 becomes stone of stumbling Lu 20. 17, 18. Row 9. 31-33 PS 41. 9. 109. 8-1 Apostle unfaithful, betrays him Mount 26. 47-50. Joe 13. 18, 26-30. Act 1. 16-20 Zek 11. 12 betrayed for 30 pieces of silver Mount 26. 15. 27. 3-10. Mr. 14. 10, 11 Zek 13. 7 disciples scatter Mount 26. 31, 56. Joe 16. 32 PS2. 1, 2 Roman powers and leaders of Israel act together against anointed of Jehovah Mount 27. 1, 2. Mr. 15. 1, 15. Lu 23. 10-12. Act 4. 25-28 Isla 53. 8 tried and condemned Mount 26. 57-68. 27. 1, 2, 11-26. Joe 18. 12-14, 19-24, 28-40. 19. 1-16 PS 27. 12 use of false witnesses Mount 26. 59-61. Mr. 14. 56-59 Issa 53. 7 silent before accusers Mount 27. 12-14. Mr. 14. 61. 15. 4, 5. Lu 23. 9 PS 69. 4 hated without cause Lu 23. 13-25. Joe 15. 24, 25 Issa 50. 6. Mick 5. 1 struck, spit on Mount 26. 67. 27. 26, 30. Joe 19. 3 PS 22. 16. FTN impaled Mount 27. 35. Mr. 15. 24, 25. Lu 23. 33. Joe 19. 18, 23. 20. 25, 27 PS 22. 18 lots cast for garments Mount 27. 35. Joe 19. 23, 24 Isla 53. 12 numbered with sinners Mount 26. 55, 56. 27. 38. Lu 22. 37 PS 22. 7, 8 reviled while on stake Mount 27. 39-43. Mr. 15. 29-32 PS 69. 21 given vinegar and gall Mount 27. 34, 48. Mr. 15. 23, 36 PS 22. 1 forsaken by God to enemies Mount 27. 46. Mr. 15. 34 PS 34. 20. X 12. 46 no bones broken Joe 19. 33, 36 Isla 53. 5. Z 12. 10 pierced Mount 27. 49. Joe 19. 34, 37. Re 1. 7 Isla 53. 5, 8, 11, 12 dies sacrificial death to carry away sins and open way to righteous standing with God Mount 20. 28. Joe 1. 29. Row 3. 24. 4. 25. 1 Co 15. 3. Hob 9. 12-15. 1 PE 2. 24. 1 Joe 2. 2 Isla 53. 9 buried with a rich Mount 27. 57-60. Joe 19. 38-42 John 1. 17. 2. 10 in grey parts of 3 days, then resurrected Mount 12. 39, 40. 16. 21. 17. 23. 27. 64. 28. 1-7. Act 10. 40. 1 Co 15. 3-8 PS 16. 8-11, FTN raised before corruption Act 2. 25-31. 13. 34-37 PS 2. 7 Jehovah declares him his son by spirit begetting and by resurrection Mount 3. 16, 17. Mr. 1. 9-11. Lu 3. 21, 22. Act 13. 33. Row 1. 4. Head 1. 5. 5. 5. Messiah 388 Woman by the well also thought the Messiah would be a prophet. Joe 4. 19, 25, 29 People expected the Messiah to perform signs. Joe 7. 31. Some variety in beliefs. It is evident that even though knowledge about the coming Messiah was common among the Jews, not all persons had the same knowledge or understanding about that one. For instance, though many knew that he would come from Bethlehem, some did not. Mount 2. 3-6. Joe 7. 27 Some believed the prophet to be separate from the Christ. Joe 1. 20, 21. 7. 40, 41 Certain prophecies about the Messiah were not understood, even by Jesus' disciples. It was particularly true about those prophecies dealing with the Messiah's rejection, suffering, death, and resurrection. Isla 53. 3, 5, 12. PS 16. 10. Mount 16. 21-23. 17. 22, 23. Lu 24. 21. Joe 12. 34. 20. 9 Yet once these things had taken place and the prophecies had been explained, his disciples and even ones who were not yet disciples began to appreciate the prophetic nature of these texts in the Hebrew scriptures. Lu 24. 45, 46. Act 2. 5, 27, 28, 31, 36, 37. 8. 30-35 Since the fact that the Messiah had to suffer and die was not recognized by most Jews, this point was stressed by early Christians when preaching to Jews. Act 3. 18. 17. 1-3. 26. 21-23. Wrong expectations. Luke's account indicates that many Jews were anxiously expecting